Hello and welcome to another episode of the Trash Talk Podcast. I'm Dave, Hollywood 6. How we doing?
JJ, I am honored again as usual, man. It's always great to be here with you. Thank you for having me on this week's podcast.
And today, we're going to be talking about why nursery rhymes and fairy tales are always so goddamn violent. Like, what's up with
it? Aren't they, though? Like, you agree, right?
Yeah. Those Grimm brothers, man, they were pretty, well... grim. I was thinking about that, and I think there might actually be multiple things going on, but, the fairy tales, I think, is oftentimes because they are cautionary tales, right?
Yeah.
Like, why do the children get eaten in Hansel and Gretel? Because the lesson is don't get lost in the forest.
Right, right.
So it has to be dangerous.
Yeah, same thing with like hey, don't take strangers don't take candy from a stranger. Yeah, because you might end up in a white van. You know, it's something similar like that. But
that's exactly what they were talking about. White vans.
Yeah, white vans.
100 times of the Brothers Grimm.
100%, dude. But no, it's a thing when you think about it, dude. It's like ring around the rosy, pocket full of posies, ashes, ashes, we all fall down. That's terrible.
Yeah.
That's terrible. London Bridge is falling down. Terrible. I mean, you might as well be saying a magnitude 8 earthquake just broke the bridge and we all just fell. Now everybody who just fell is probably going to hell. That's basically what you're saying, just in a children way.
I guess so. There's sort of two things with those, right? Where first of all, I think sometimes the kids just don't understand the text anyways. So it doesn't really matter in a practical sense. And then the other thing is, I feel like we sort of have this almost universal mode of judging things sometimes. This intuition where like, oh, this is very violent. It's like, yeah, but it's just words, right? Like,
right.
It's quite different than if you were like actually like showing it in a movie or something like that. Or like photography or whatever, right? You don't have this visual element. It's not as visceral if you're just like talking about it. I mean, I'm not saying that...
Right.
That means that everything is suddenly okay, but I think the standard to like what is inappropriate for children is much higher there.
Yeah, and I get it, and the majority of these nursery rhymes come before the age of cinema and the age of you know all these to use your words, visceral visual contents, things that you can actually see that might be gory. But during and you know what, I got a really good question here. We know all these nursery rhymes. We should be asking the question: who wrote these things? Like, no one knows who wrote London Bridge is Falling. Do you know who wrote London? If you know who wrote London Bridge is Falling Down, I swear to God, this is gonna be crazy. Do you?
No, I don't. I might be able to look it up. So some of these things will be unattributed. Some of them we will know. It really depends on how old they are in a lot of cases, right? Because if like a lot of like folk traditions and that sort of thing, where you have like some songs are just like, oh yeah, I guess it was like sung by minors or sung by slaves or something like that. And then eventually like someone recorded a version of it. And that is the first version that we have like a name for. But it was just like passed down before then. And nursery rhymes, I'm sure, are similar for different reasons, but where a lot of them were just passed down and we just don't know where they come from. Others might have been written down early on and then maybe we can find the attribution.
You know what? That's interesting that you had said, might have come from like minors or slaves or something like that. Because
music more so than nursery rhymes, but
yeah, well, no. Let's take the nursery rhymes thing. Well, again, like let's take a slave who's out there working. Ring around the rosy, pocket full of posies. Ashes, ashes, we all fall down. So if you're looking at it from a slave's point of view, they're probably talking about ring around the rosy. If we don't pick these pocket or these posies and put them in our pocket, then we might enter into a gas chamber, which turns us all into ashes and we all fall down. So they're singing it while they're doing this manual labor and then it's stuck in their head. And then they go home to their kids and they're like, man, this song is just stuck in my head. And they're singing it out loud and eventually it gets stuck in their kids' heads on. And the kids go play with other kids. And now they're singing the song that their dad was singing at work. You know what I mean? I don't know how it got passed on, but that's a question we should be asking.
I don't think that's necessarily, might not be the case for that one, but I think a lot of that also is just like, if you're singing something to like a literal baby, like the content really doesn't matter because they don't understand language yet, right? And then as they
Yeah.
grow up, you keep singing the same things to them, and suddenly they can actually repeat them, right? So I think there might be an element of that, especially when they first came about. And I guess in terms of like the whole visceral violence thing, it's important, I think, to remember that the world also used to be a much more brutal place, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Now we can talk wars, but
Yeah, that.
also diseases and stuff like that, right? Like actually, like people dying
Mm,
around you was much
yeah.
more common. Now, obviously, like kids still lose their grandparents sometimes, right? Like death still happens, but it's oftentimes even then it's oftentimes a lot more distant than if it's like someone who's like dying with boils, and if you go too close to them, you might be next, right? Like
Yeah.
that's quite different. And so I think there is
Yeah.
also a little bit of the concept of like what is appropriate for children. I think also has changed as the world has gotten more comfortable, and we have the possibility to give those children like an easier upbringing.
Yeah.
And also, obviously, a lot of concepts of life stages even are different, right? You used to be a child when you were an adult. Now,
Yeah.
like adolescence is like a whole new thing. Obviously, those children's lives are before that, but like you can really see how the ways we think about children have changed over the years.
Absolutely.
And so I think that also plays a factor here.
You know, to the there's one nursery rhyme that to this day, like I can understand. Oh, I guess I can't understand, but like the Ring Around the Rosies and the London Bridges, I can understand what they're talking about. But the one that really gets me, the nursery rhyme that really gets me, it's like. Who thought of this? It couldn't be about a slave or someone working in a mine or someone working in a field. Is Rockabye Baby on the treetop? When the bough breaks, the cradle will rock. How's it go? When the bough breaks, the cradle will. Or if the cradle will fall and down will come cradle, baby and all. How the hell that come to be? Who's putting a baby cradle in top of a tree as you're rocking it? You know what I mean? Just try to break that down in your head. You're a logical thinking person. You're a very smart individual. How does that particular nursery rhyme come along?
I mean, the big question, I guess, is just like, what do you mean by like up in a tree, right? Because obviously, your first thought is climbing a tree or like putting it in the branches, which seems irresponsible. But there used to also sometimes be platforms on trees, right? Some sort of festivals that would like dance around trees, like on platforms, for example. I don't know if there was like actual like bigger constructions on those, but I think there are sort of conceivable scenarios in which you were in a tree beyond just like actually like just putting it up there.
Yeah.
I don't know if that is the case. I'm sure. The thing is, a lot of these questions do have objective answers, or at the very least, fairly like well-reasoned answers that we can find if you just look into it. Because there are people who study these things, right? That look at the historical contexts, that try to find out where those came from. Again, we're oftentimes not going to find like an individual person, because also the whole idea of intellectual property didn't really exist back then, at least not in the same sense it does now. And so they might not find the person, but they will find like, where in the world did this come from? What might they be referencing? What traditions might have been implied here? Is there maybe a real historical event that they are describing? And so,
Well, can you think of a real historical event for that particular nursery rhyme or something?
no, not from the top of my head, but I'm just saying, like, historians look into all sorts of things, and I'm sure, like, if you really want to know this, there might just be like someone who has written the paper on that, and that you can just find.
Okay, you're normally the Googler, but I want to actually look that up. I want to see who wrote the nursery rhyme. What would you call it?
I don't know.
Rockabye Baby?
I think this is
Rockabye Baby. Okay. Oh wow. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think there's like a bit of a cultural disconnect here as well, right? Because I have heard some of those nursery rhymes you talked about today, but I didn't grow up with any of them for the obvious reason that I'm not a native English speaker. So,
wow. Oh, now you know what?
Right. So
remember what. I'm sorry. I just want to read the Rockabye Baby thing real quick, but remember what you just said because I want to come back to that. So the lyrics of Rockabye Baby are believed to have been composed by F.E.I. Canning in the late 19th century. While the exact year its composition is debated, it's generally accepted that she created the melody in the 1800s. it's worth noting that the rhyme itself predates Canning's composition. The lyrics and melody, as they are known today, were popularized by Canning, but the core theme and verses existed in earlier forms, often collections of Mother Goose rhymes. So that the 1800s. So apparently, a woman by the name of Effie Canning wrote that. And hell, I might actually try to find a documentary as to look into this woman and see she might be the reason of all these nursery rhymes. Maybe she's a dark, twisted person.
But I mean, you already read, right? The actual text is based on earlier rhymes, and that's also like a big part of it. So right? Because we didn't think of a lot of these things again the way we do today, right? Like oftentimes with like a song, it's like it's a song. It just is like that. And back in the day, like, oh yeah, you like, there's a folk song, like, and maybe you invent your own verse and you just add it to the song, right? And people were a lot more flexible with these sort of things back then. There was like maybe one town has one version of the rhyme, and the next one over has a slightly different one, and that's just how it is.
And not only that, but also telling it to different places, it could get lost in translation, words maybe changed, what have you.
And so a lot of these things are very fluid and building onto like established traditions as well, right? So again, as I said, right, as you read out there, it's the like there were rhymes before, some of them were compiled, and then someone wrote a melody to go with the rhyme,
right?
And that is then the version that has arrived to today.
So she would be the writer of the song, but she heard it from, it could be, I don't know if this is true, but it could be possible that she heard it from someone else, and then that person heard it from someone else, but she was the first person to actually be documented to write the song. Now, I want to go back to what you had said. You had said, a lot of these are, I guess you would say, Western nursery rhymes. I mean, when you were a kid, you just said they didn't speak these nursery rhymes to you, right?
Well, I mean, I'm sure there were some. I don't remember any distinctly, but it wouldn't have been those because, again, I'm not a native English speaker, right? So the rhymes would have been in German, logically.
So now, well, my question was: are there any popular German nursery rhymes that Americans probably don't know about?
I'm sure there are. I just can't think of any for the life of me.
Really?
I mean, I've never had like a great memory, and especially for like a lot of stuff from like that far back. And so I don't really encounter them in my life now, so I would have had to remember them from my younger years, and I don't. So I can't really speak to that. But I'm pretty sure they do exist. And
yeah,
if you go to the Fairytales, then those are more the same because those you can translate, right? Because they don't rhyme.
Well, let me ask you this. Okay, let's go away from the nursery rhymes. Let's go to the fairy tales for a minute. Now, is there a certain fairy tale that actually kind of scared you when you were a child? Is there one that actually got you?
I don't remember that either. I know that my mother read some of them to me. I think Hansel and Gretel,
Hansel and
Cinderella, right? Like some of those for sure. I don't distinctly remember any reaction I would have had to it because again, this was like 2 decades ago or whatever, more than that.
Yeah.
At this point.
Well, I mean, I'm older than you, but I mean, again, I don't know. Maybe this is more of a Western thing. Maybe a more of American thing. I don't know because like we were talking about the nursery rhymes. You're like, oh, I don't remember. But like these are things that grown adults still sing today. If they're just like if they have a kid, they'll sing it to their child today, and it's something. And maybe it's something in our culture and where it's something you're taught. It's instinctual. It's in your DNA to speak these nursery rhymes to your kids. But as far as the fairy tales, if I had to say one that scared me the most, oh my God, what was it? Jesus Christ, I can't remember. My mom used to read it in such a crazy voice, but I can't remember the name of it. But I'll give you one that I guess you would call it a fairy tale, but the Boogeyman. That's a big one. Everybody knows about the Boogeyman, right?
Yes, broadly speaking.
Yeah, I mean, when we were a kid, if we were scared, we would turn on every light on in the house. We would open all the blinds because the Boogeyman's gonna come and get you. There's certain ones, or like I'll tell you another one, and I can probably guarantee you this is probably an American thing, but not many there. When you come to America, I'm gonna not gonna say if, but when you come to America, just ask any random American, "Hey, will you go into the bathroom and say Candyman 5 times with the lights off, or Bloody Mary?"
I was gonna say, I
5 times
thought it
with
was
the
Bloody
lights off?
Mary.
Yeah, can't either or Bloody Mary, Candyman. There's a lot of grown adults who would not do that.
Yeah, I think some of those things are definitely more American. The Bloody Mary thing, I've only ever seen in movies. Now, granted, that means that it probably is a thing here now.
Right.
But some of the things I think are very American. Speaking of like being scared as a child, one thing that I also only really know from American movies: nightlights. I don't think I've ever seen a nightlight in person.
Wait, y'all, that's so crazy. So y'all, is that not a thing in Germany?
I don't think so.
Wow. And you're right. When I was a kid, I didn't have night lights. I mean, but then again, that's another fairy tale, you know. The reason night lights exist is because that company is feeding on the fear of children because they're afraid of the dark. So, hey, let's profit off of that. Let's make a night light. So, some company out there had a brilliant idea to profit off of children's fears.
Yeah, because I only know those from movies. I don't know how common they are in the US, but it's one of those things, right? Like, you see it in the movies and you're like, okay, so is this a movie trope? Is this a thing that people actually do in America? Or is it something that actually people also do here and I'm just the odd one out and I never notice it, right? You never know with these things. It's always a bit hard to evaluate those. But apparently a lot of the tropes from American movies are actually just like American life, which is very interesting because as similar as our cultures are, there are so many like small to medium-sized differences that you don't even really think about that much. I mean,
right.
I think people talk a lot about, and we're getting a bit off topic here, but people are talking a lot about like how like high school movies in the US and like a lot of those tropes.
Wow.
Like actually turns out like half of the tropes in high school movies are just the way American high schools are, and we just aren't used to them. We had lockers, but we never had like separate padlocks on them. They had like built-in locks you just get a key. I don't know how standard that is because I've only been to two schools.
Well, listen, you're talking to an American. You're talking to an American, so if you have any questions about these movies, you can ask an American right now.
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking. Water fountains. I think it is a very American thing as well. I don't think I've ever seen a water fountain in real life. But I've seen I've seen drinking fountains for refilling your bottles in Florence.
So y'all didn't. Oh, that's first of all, I was born in the city Florence. Just want to throw that out there. But go ahead. Sorry.
I think it's a different Florence.
It's totally a different Florence. Because I'm assuming you're referring to Italy, but
we were on a class trip there, and they actually like had. It's basically more like a faucet almost. They had public water fountains. You could like press a button and you could fill up your bottle.
God, that's so crazy.
But I've never seen like a drinking fountain where people just and I've seen pictures, right? So I know those exist. But in movies when they turn them up and they like just put their mouth to it, drink a little bit, and then turn them off.
Yes. Wow, that's such a thing. I don't think they exist here. Oh my God, dude! You're bringing back memories, nostalgia. You're bringing nostalgia back right now because I remember getting out of like class and being so thirsty, and there was two kinds of water, water fountains that we had here. We had one that you would physically have to push a button, and the water would come out, and you'd put your mouth down and you drink your water, and then, and then you had another one where you would take your foot and just push a handle down, and the water would come. You do it that way, but. Dude, man, I ain't gonna lie. Some of those water fountains back in the day when you've been at PE or outside all day and you come back, dude, that water was so good. It's just like, and then you'd have to come up for air like, it's a nostalgic thing.
I mean, we would always just have water bottles in our backpacks, right? Like usually you have like a side pocket in the backpack and you put a bottle in there, and that's your water for the day.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Another thing that is really popular here, especially in the South in America, like when you were a kid, I'm curious if y'all do this in Germany. When we were a kid, your mom would tell you, if you're gonna go outside, stay outside. Don't you can't come in and out. Don't come in and out of my house. The common thing that they would say is you're letting all my cold air out of the house because it's so cold outside. When you were a kid and you were thirsty and you didn't want to go inside because you knew if you went inside, you'd have to stay inside when you want to stay out and hang out with your friends. When you're a kid, is it a thing in Germany to actually turn on like your water hose from your spigot and actually drink water from the water hose? Because everybody did that here.
I don't think I've seen that. But
Ow.
also, I will say, I don't think you'd ever had to force me to stay inside. I was much more of the kid you had to force to go outside. So...
Again, I keep forgetting you're so much younger than me, man. That's what's wrong with you kids today. Get out and play. Go scrape your knee.
I don't think that's even necessarily an age thing. Because like back then, I didn't have a computer. It's not like it was modern technology keeping me inside. I was reading and stuff like that. That like technology that you would have had access to as well.
Yeah.
Like I was just,
it was like,
never very outdoorsy.
And your parents didn't like make you like, hey, go outside. Go.
Sometimes.
No. Dude. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sometimes they would like, oh, like it's great weather, go outside. You know, like, but not all the time. Like if I was hanging out with friends, we would be outside a lot. But like just by myself, I would not go outside that much just like of my own initiative.
It's so crazy because now, man, it's like, you know, again, I'm speaking as a Southern American, but kids are so attached to their phones and their tablets to where you don't see them outside. Like I was talking to one of my friends about this not too long ago, and I was like, dude, when is the last time you seen a kid in a tree? We used to climb trees. I haven't seen a kid in a tree probably in 20 years. It's like, what the heck? And when I do see the kids outside of my neighborhood, I'm like, that makes me feel good, man. Like to see them out there. And another thing, I actually work with a guy. He's 23. By the way, the dude's 6'9", or six. I think he's 6'8", 6'9". He's huge, but he's 23. He rarely talks, and I'm like, we were talking about like as kids, you know, you get scars that stick with you for the rest of your life, and we're showing all our scars, and I'm like, hey, Demetrius, you know, I should have said his name, but you know, show us your last scar. He didn't. He's like, I don't have any. How are you this old and don't have any lifetime scars? Do you have any lifetime scars, like from a kid?
So technically, the oldest scar I have is right here from when they cut too deep at the C-section. So you know that.
Oh wow!
So I've had that from birth, basically. But
damn,
I don't have any like direct like child injury ones. I have a scar right here, like a small one. I don't think it comes through on camera. I don't.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think the focus is too bad. Yeah. I think I literally just like must have like when I was carrying something, just scratched my hand on the wall or something. We have a very rough wall in the basement. I think I scratched my hand there. I don't know. I don't remember getting that scar. I just remember someday one day looking down at my hands and be like, oh, that's a scar, and being like, oh, look at that.
Let me.
I don't know.
Let me ask you this: when's the last time you used a Band-Aid?
Oh God, years.
Wow.
Usually whenever other people would use a Band-Aid, I would just use like a
piece of cloth,
like a kitchen cloth or something, and I just like press it down until it stops bleeding, and then I just stop. Also, fresh air supposedly, at least that's what like communal wisdom has it. Fresh air good for your wounds, apparently, allegedly.
Oh, let me ask you this: have you ever broken a bone? Have you ever fractured something? Sprained? No, me neither, actually. I've never broken a bone.
Yeah, I've never broken a bone, and I don't think I have any scars from like just like childhood playing. Like I do have a bunch of scars on my forehead from chickenpox, but that's a whole other thing.
I feel like as an American, this is a very American thing from what I know. But comparing scars, like but here it's like, oh, let me see your scar. Oh, look at my scar. So you showed me your little scar there.
Yeah,
dude. I've got so many on my leg. My craziest scar I've ever had. I don't know if you can actually see it, but I've got like right here. It's not gonna show on camera.
Yeah,
but No. When I was 3, I remember running into a, like, you know how you have a table with 4 corners, you know? I remember
Yes, usually.
running like so the table's right here, and I remember running full speed, and I turned my head and got me right in there. And dude, I'm talking about, my mom said my entire face was like, it was like
Yeah. Head wounds bleed like crazy.
just like going crazy. So that's actually the only times I had to get stitches. But yeah, as a 3-year-old, and that scar is still, it's very vague. You can barely see it, but it's a
Yeah.
thing in America. We compare our scars. So
I mean, in terms of like head wounds, I once had a hairdresser just like clip my ear ever so slightly when I was like, I think I wasn't holding still. I was a kid, right? And just like apparently just like a little bit tiny wound, but apparently there was also like blood everywhere. I don't personally remember it, but apparently it was like also very bloody for some reason. Because again, I guess your head just bleeds a lot.
I'm assuming that's the reason why you have long hair now. you ain't
No.
ain't been back for a haircut cut since that day.
No. I never liked getting my hair cut that much, and I liked having short hair, like really short hair, and I didn't mind having long hair. What I really didn't like is when I had sort of medium length hair. And so the thing is, either you get a haircut often or never. Either one works. Yeah. And I was like, okay, I'll go with never. Works for me.
Yeah. It's crazy. You've got, I don't think you've ever seen me with my hair, but I actually need a haircut. But I mean, this is me just coming straight off of work, but literally, I got my hair.
Yeah.
I got all my hair, no bald spots, like nothing like that. I got white people hair. So I've got I've got white people hair. It's not.
Yeah, I used to basically just get my hair buzzed to like a very small length to that, like just like just like basically like a razor with a guard, like those like electric hair razors with a guard. It's like the longest setting that the guard would have is, I don't know, it's like 10 millimeters or something. It's not a lot, and just like off.
Let me ask you this: with God, I keep wanting to call you a teenager. People around your age group. Yeah, my bad. People around your age group
this year.
I know. Oh man, we're close to that big 30. But people around your age group, do they do them? Is that the popular thing over there around your age group, is to have long hair? Just curious.
I don't think so. I think it's more common than it used to be, but it's not super common. And I'm also not exactly sure if my age group specifically actually like has like particularly strong trends these days. I feel like there is a lot of like diversity there. You see some long hair, you see some short hair, you see some more medium length. I think there is actually like quite a bit of variety. Like the stereotype of like the I was gonna say Gen Zers. I'm Gen Z technically, but like the younger Gen Zers with like the weird like broccoli hair. Like I don't think people my age do that. I think there's just like a bit of variety. But then again, I feel like I never like know representative sample of people, right? Because like that computer science students are not going to be the most representative group. Oh my! And those are the people that I have the most contact with.
I took computer science. Dang it!
No, but I'm saying like as a yes, we are a part of the population, but we're not representative of the population. Especially like college students, right? I'm not just talking about anyone who has computer science. People that are currently in college for computer science is like a very different group of people from just like the average person that age.
I get it, and the reason I ask is because most young adults in the South, they usually have their hair cut pretty short, and I think it's because it has to do with the heat. It's usually not that hot over there where you guys are all the time, so no one wants that heat.
It's actually like in winter, when you get your hair cut in winter, and look, you have like long hair like this, and you get a cut. Mm-hmm. Oh boy, your neck is getting really cold the first couple days. When you're not used to not having hair back there. Like, it actually like is noticeable. Whereas, I mean, summer is unbearably hot sometimes. I mean, cold compared to your standards, but that's just in general all over. I don't think it would help much if I got a haircut.
Man, you want me to tell you how great the Trash Talk podcast is? You want me to tell you how great this podcast is that you do here, brother? And kudos to you. We can talk. We went from nursery rhymes and fairy tales to freaking haircuts. You gotta love that, dude. You gotta love it.
I had noticed that we're going way off topic, and I was like, you know what? I think we don't have that much more to say about the main topic. So let's
just let it go, dude. Let's just let it go. Why not?
Speaking of, do we want to move on to the
Yes,
halftime show? No, wait, facts of the week first.
absolutely.
I
Oh, facts of the week.
almost
Yeah.
forgot about facts of the week.
Wow, you forgetting something? What?
Yeah, I know. I remember it's
Dang.
terrible. What is
Okay,
your
I
fact
got
of the
my
week?
I've got my fact of the week here today. Now, I saw this today earlier, and I was pretty interested. Now, Smokey is the big NFL football guy. I'm the big MMA guy. Big MMA guy. So you are familiar with the UFC, right?
Yes.
Okay, you've seen the UFC belts,
Yeah, I think I've seen one or two of them.
Okay, so do you think they're real gold or plated gold?
I would have just assumed they're like brass or something.
So this is another reason why I love this sport, because you have champions that'll defend that belt. Back in the day, every time you defended the belt, they'd give you a new belt and a new belt and a new belt and a new belt. But it got to the point where there were some champions that just would not lose. And it's like, dude, we've given you 15 belts. So they made it now to where they'll give you one belt and there's diamonds on each side of the belt. And every time you defend it, they'll take a diamond out and replace it with the ruby. A diamond out and replace it with the ruby, bringing up the value. But my fact of the week is the UFC belt really is made of solid gold. At a glance, it may look like nothing more than a strap of Taiwan's finest, but apparently it is real gold. From what we can tell, the UFC championship belts, along with pretty much every single other championship belt are fashioned by two guys. I'll leave their names out. And for those eager to actualize their dreams of glory without having to fight anyone or go to the hell? Something just dropped, but that was weird. Glory to go to the gym or anything like that, you can own your own gold plated belt for $1,000. However, your average UFC championship belt is worth approximately $330,000. Now, the reason this is me being an MMA head, the reason this is such a fact or an interesting fact to me is because there's a thing in MMA where they're like, oh, football players, they sign a contract for 2 years for, $43 million. MMA fighters, if you're like a mid-grade fighter, you get 50,000 to show up, 50,000 to win. That's $100,000. You only get to fight 3 times a week. 3 times a month. If you're not injured, you got to pay your coaches, you got to pay taxes, you got to pay your trainers, your sparring partners, you got to pay everybody. But to those fighters who are good enough to get an actual belt, if you have 15 UFC belts, you could literally pawn that to somewhere or give it to someone who you could melt it down for gold and it'd be worth more than whatever your fight purse was. So I thought that was pretty cool, man.
Yeah, I don't think melting down is a good idea in this case because those are probably like an authentic UFC belt with like being able to prove that it's the original is probably worth a lot more than the material cost.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Imagine if you're Conor McGregor and you just need a quick $500,000. Hey, I want to give you my belt where I fought Jose Aldo. I want to give you this. That's worth a lot of money. And you know what? He might have only made $1 million on that fight and probably hasn't made any money for the next 2 years. But if he needed a quick 300, 400,000, here you go, buddy. What do you mean, Will?
I'm sure Conor McGregor made some money like with advertisements and stuff like that. Like
yes. The reason I use Conor, you're European, and you probably can't name 5 UFC fighters.
I probably can't.
Exactly. So that's why I use Conor McGregor. Now, if I said, hey, Jose Aldo, he's got 12 of them. Never heard of him, have you? Never heard of him. Jose Aldo. Undefeated for a decade. 22 fights, undefeated. 12 belts. He's rich. He may never make another dime in his life, but because that's made of real gold, which is a crazy fact to me, he's rich.
Yeah, again, I think if you're like a really successful athlete, and UFC is like growing in popularity, so that helps. I think you can make money like just being like a famous person. I think that is like and if you look at the like the middle of the card, those might not be able to do that. But again, if you make the football comparison, I don't think your left guard is necessarily going to be like a millionaire, right? So.
Man, we should actually look that up one day. Like, what's the average NFL contract? I bet you it's $500,000 a year. What do you think?
As a median, I don't think so. Maybe as an actual average. I mean, the average is pretty easy because you can just look at roster size and salary cap, right? You just divide the salary cap by the roster size, and you can know what the mean income is.
God dang it! Stop being so freaking technical. Just give me an estimate off the top of your head. What do you? Don't Google it. Don't Google it. Just give. What do you think the average NFL contract?
Okay, I do have to ask though, mean or median, because that makes a big difference.
What do you mean?
Okay, mean is you add them all up and you divide the number of people.
No shit. I know what mean and medium is.
Okay, yeah.
But why can't you just say the average? Take the amount of people on a team. Let's say it's 70 people on the team. What's the average salary? Mean, goddammit. Let's go mean. Sure. Let's go mean. Let's go mean.
I think I mean they probably are fairly well paid. Like 150?
Alright, let's go median.
I thought you said median. Sorry. The mean is probably higher. Okay, median 150.
Alright,
mean 300.
Okay. Now, would you like to look it up? Let's see.
Sure.
Let's just see. I got my Google up right. Oh, there you go.
Median NFL salary. Average. Okay, that. We'll see what they mean by average. Average by position. Thank you. Very useful. Not what I'm looking for. What is it? Wait, what is that? Let's focus on general pay rate, high and low. What am I even looking at? Oh, that's how that works, right? So that is okay. Those are all in the millions, but for every position.
Wow!
But I don't know. According to sources, there's a list of the median average salary in the NFL by position. I'm assuming that means annual.
God, you make this so hard. Watch how quick. Watch this. Watch this. Just watch this. Watch this. Watch this. Watch this. Watch this. Watch this. NFL salary. Okay. About $3.2 million in 2024. A lot bigger. A lot more.
Okay, fair enough.
A lot. But I'm just saying, you have these NFL who only get to play 2, 3, and 4 or 5 years, 6 years if you're lucky. God forbid you break your ankle. God forbid you suck.
Yeah.
Versus, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that is why like college football used to like really suck like for the players because was it like 3% of the players make it to the NFL or something? And like I might have been less even. And so like
crazy.
even if you're a starter in Alabama,
right,
only like a third of the team gets drafted, and not all of them might actually be on the final roster, right? Or something like that. I don't actually remember the exact numbers, but like even like the championship teams, like maybe even less actually, because like the number of players drafted is like never like half the team,
right?
Like even if you're on a championship team, because that's just like how selective it is. And also there's like I think there's like 160 FBS teams, and about as many FCS, and then there's D2 and D3 and NAIA and
I don't even know what that is. I don't even know what that is.
So NAIA is an organization for smaller colleges. U Sports is the Canadian version of the NCAA.
Yeah, and not only that, you had mentioned, college football used to suck for the players. I remember they didn't even college athletes. You could have been the best, but I remember they couldn't get paid. I think Smokey did tell me that now they're able to get sponsors and stuff like that. But now, like
that's what I was getting at with it used to be really bad because they used to not be able to financially benefit at all except for the scholarship. And they could get a scholarship.
Yeah. But if you don't make it to the NFL, you're screwed. You just wasted. You're screwed.
I mean, you do get a degree, hopefully, at the end. But yeah, I mean, obviously that's the whole other thing, right? Like, in the US, like college is like terribly expensive.
Dude, it's so funny. Like, you know who Brian Urlacher is?
No.
Okay, give me a big football player, like a big massive football player. Give me one that you know.
Jesus Christ, this is the bias.
I mean, old school, new school. I don't care. Just give me one.
I feel like you always only hear like the quarterbacks and skill players, the names. Jesus Christ, like a line.
All right, let's go. Let's go Brett Favre. You know Brett Favre, right?
Yes.
All right, let's say just wrap your brain around this. Let's say Brett Favre got a scholarship. He's playing at this college, and he's getting a law degree. And he's learning law, and he's trying to become a lawyer. But he doesn't make it to the NFL. Could you imagine having Brett Favre as your lawyer, or even imagine a med school? Imagine having a Tom Brady as like your brain surgeon. Like, dude, oh hell, oh god. I don't know, man. He might be pretty precise, but
I mean, have you seen Dave Bautista recently, the wrestler?
I haven't.
Like he really slimmed down, like a lot.
Oh, I have. Yeah. He was huge.
Yeah. So like the whole like, oh yeah, like one massive person, like you can change your body shape quite a lot, even if, and especially like that kind of muscle, like you can, like, because you said like a massive person, like
yeah.
Some of them, like most NFL players are tall, like you can't really change that, but like. Everything else is
okay, I guess you're leaning into the size of the person. I'm just saying, it's like imagine the no, we need a sport. Like imagine Michael Jordan never becoming his college team. He never got drafted, and he never played for the Bulls. And you know what? I'm in school for sports education. Imagine if Michael Jordan is your PE teacher. Yeah, it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, but like in a world where he's not nearly as famous because he never went pro, right? So like
went pro.
So
I'm just that's so crazy.
I wasn't sure what you were getting at, but when I thought you said massive as in physical. It doesn't matter. The point is,
yeah, no, I did. Massive. Well, I was saying, just imagine a big 6'5" dude who's obviously
your lawyer. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, or be in your brain. All right, scalpel. That's Brock freaking Lesnar, dude. What the hell? Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, what's your fact of the week? I'm sorry to ramble.
My fact of the week is that a Japanese hiker got lost in the woods. I think he broke his pelvis or something. He had basically very little water and no food.
Wow.
And apparently, what does it say here? Oh yeah, there it is. And apparently his body sort of went inactive. His core temperature fell to 22 degrees Celsius, or 72 Fahrenheit. And this is likened here to hibernation. The exterior temperature was as low as 10 degrees Celsius. It doesn't give me a 30-minute version, so I can't tell you how much it is for you. And the doctors believed afterwards when they found him that he makes a full recovery. So the article here doesn't specifically say, like, there are some doctors that apparently are like, well, long term we don't know. Like, but the people that worked on this case apparently said that he was going to fully recover. This article is from 18 years ago, but apparently he's not really been in the public that much since. Apparently there were scientists that wanted to do the follow-ups, but apparently he's somewhat disappeared. Like, he doesn't want to be a scientific spectacle, which I fully get. And apparently there's another story like that, where in 2001 a Canadian toddler apparently wandered outside at night in sub-zero conditions and was later found by her mother almost frozen solid, it says, which I don't know what almost frozen solid means. Despite the fact that she was pronounced clinically dead, her heart had stopped beating for 2 hours and temperature dropped to 16 degrees Celsius. Erica made a full recovery.
Wow. Man, Jesus. Go ahead, sorry.
There is sort of this old adage. You're only dead when you're warm and dead. You know, like, your body, like, when it gets cold, everything slows down. Cell death slows down, like, everything. Yeah. And it just takes a lot longer to die when you're, like, cold. So,
God. Yeah. It's so crazy because if you're in the toddler's situation, God, that's a bad case to frostbite, man. And for you to come back from that, wow, that's awesome, man. I mean, that's awesome.
Again, I don't know like how much of a turn-off phrase almost frozen solid in this case is, because I feel like there's a lot of range of what you mean by almost. But let me ask. Sub-zero temperatures is it's literally. Yeah, it's pretty. I mean, my opinion. So sub-zero Celsius probably, based on how the article was written, so that just means below freezing.
Yes.
But,
But it's so crazy because a lot of people think some of the worst ways of dying, or one of the worst ways to die, is by fire. You think about it, sheesh. freezing to death. Now that's a way to, man, a lot of people don't think about that. But I do want to ask you this real quick, man. You've heard the conspiracy that Walt Disney was actually cryogenically frozen?
Yes. The general consensus is that he wasn't, but it doesn't really matter because
no,
any of of these companies that are like, oh, we'll cryogenically freeze your body, like none of them have any realistic plans of how they could unfreeze you without killing you, or rather, how they can freeze you without killing you, because that's the point, right? Like those are just corpses in cabinets. Like we are almost certainly never going to be able to revive those people.
Right. Well, like you just said, you know, maybe back then, you know, the medical industry wasn't, you know, as advanced as it is now. But like you had said, you know, everything slows down when you get cold. Your blood flow, you know, cell growth. So they're probably thinking like, oh, if we just cryogenically freeze them, no, it doesn't really work that way. You know,
there are limits to this, and I don't believe in the whole cryogenic thing. I'm not saying that we will never invent a way in which this could work. But the problem is, I think the way we're currently freezing them already doesn't work. And also, for legal reasons, most of these companies freeze people after they've already died.
Exactly. Yeah. And not only that, why? Why would you do that?
Why would you revive later?
I mean, medically,
I get the appeal. If you believe in it, I get the appeal.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it won't work. Also, rapidly freezing human cells, like, because there's water in there, like, usually also, like, kills those cells.
Yes, absolutely.
So, again, with our current methods, I don't think this is going to work. There might be a future in which we do have cryotechnology, but that won't be able to revive the people that are already frozen. It'll just be able to then freeze people.
I've just always wondered in my head, is like, okay, hypothetically, if he was cryogenically frozen, how do you unthaw him? Like, how does that process work? I've always wondered, like, how do you do that? You just leave him out to sit? Is there a heater you got? You know, do you hit him with the defibrillator and pump his heart? How do you do that? You know,
probably slowly in a water bath.
I don't know.
And
I wasn't expecting an answer from you. I was just wondering how it would, you know, like. It's something interesting thing.
And possibly an injection from something like adrenaline to restart the heart if that is needed.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't think it will work. Which brings us, I think, finally, that was a long Fact of the Week segment, but whatever.
Oh, man.
To our halftime show, we're once again playing Hurdle Decades, but with a twist. We're focusing on the number one category, so we're only doing songs that hit the number one in the charts. Now, we have 3 decades of 4 countries. Do we want to start with the decades of the countries?
Let's go with the countries. Why not?
All right. I think we're gonna start the furthest away. So I think we're gonna start with Australia.
All right, but listen. Before we start, I can already tell you, you're probably gonna do better with the countries, and I'm probably gonna do better with the decades. Go ahead.
I would think the other way around, but I guess we'll see.
Really? Okay, let's see.
Because I like older music, and this could be anything.
So do I. I like all music. No clue.
Yeah.
I mean, you could type in the whispers if you like, but
I guess, yeah. Whisper. Careless Whisper. No. Why do that's no.
Yeah.
That. I mean, it was worth a try. That was a good call, but
The whispers in the morning.
Man, the way those trumpets came in started sounding like it was mariachi. I don't know, bro. I've got nothing.
I thought it might have been strings, but I'm not entirely sure.
The whispers in the morning.
That might actually be like something electronic. Those were not
Whispers in the morning. I've got nothing.
Yeah, me neither. Also,
sounds like an accordion almost.
Also, the interesting thing is we have nothing to go off of, right? Because the fact that it was number one in Australia doesn't mean it has to be from Australia.
Exactly.
And we don't know the decade. I mean, we could probably guess based on how it sounds, but we would have to infer that. So in some ways, this is harder actually than the decades.
Yeah.
The whispers in the morning of love and...
Dude, this doesn't even sound remotely close to anything I've ever heard. Anything.
I think, I mean, I've heard some music like this, but I couldn't necessarily place it.
The whispers in the morning, of lovers sleep and time.
Yeah, I guess I listen to the whole thing just to see, but
The whispers in the morning, of lovers sleep and tight, are rolling by like thunder.
I have no idea. I mean, the genre definitely. I know songs of this genre. I know songs that sound like this, but I've never. I don't think I've ever heard this. I'm curious. I'm curious to know who the artist is.
well, I guess we'll find out right now.
The
Celine
Who
Dion.
is it?
I was thinking.
Oh my god! I swear I thought Celine Dion too.
I was actually thinking like when you said like I've never heard anything like that. I was like, it could be something like Celine Dion, but I actually had her in my head as well. But by the way, the song is "The Power of Love," which I don't think it. There is another song by the title, but I don't think it's that. It's the same song.
Real quick, this was Australia?
Yes, this was a #1 hit in Australia.
Wow. Okay.
I mean,
I think she's French.
She's Canadian.
Oh, okay. I thought she was okay. She
No, she's Quebec.
might be French. Oh, okay.
So she's French Canadian.
Yeah. Got it.
UK. Now this, if any country
might
is
get.
giving me an advantage, it should be the UK because I will say the UK I think has more in common with the US and continental Europe in some cases.
Yes.
But also they do sometimes get Europop and stuff like that, which you
Yes.
have very little chance of. Okay, none of that. None of that.
None of that. No. Nothing.
Does it sound vaguely familiar?
Jesus. It does sound familiar to you?
Yeah, vaguely.
Oh, wow. Okay. The bass line does sound familiar, actually.
Yeah, right?
We're about to get a loop here.
Yeah, that's the problem. I'm just not sure if it's just gonna be a pure loop or if they're gonna add an instrument, which might help. But I guess we'll just have to see because I'm not gonna get it off of this, even if it does sound familiar.
Yeah, me neither. Jesus,
I
dude.
swear
I've got
heard this before, but I'm like 50-50 on whether it was actually like on the radio or just like in a commercial or movie.
Yeah, and that's the crazy thing is the second we see what song this is, we're gonna be like, of course.
Might be. I mean, we'll still have like half of it to go basically lengthwise.
What you got? Oh.
Weirdly enough, it feels less familiar now.
Now that you're gone.
I also don't like that the first second is literally just silence. That makes this unnecessarily harder.
Now that you're gone. I know. God dang it! It doesn't matter because I know the song, but I have no idea who sings it. Or I can't say I know the song, but the cadence sounds familiar in the lyrics. Now that you're gone, Krayla, give us another skip. What we got?
I've definitely heard this before.
God, it does sound familiar.
I don't know. I'm just gonna go now that
you're going. Yeah.
No, it's.
Yeah. I don't know, bro. I don't know. And I feel like we're gonna know the artist the second we see it.
Possibly.
All right, hold on. Wait. Ah, shit. Who is it?
It's
Dolly Parton.
Frida Payne. Payne?
Frida.
With Band
Frida.
of Gold. Okay, Band of Gold was in the lyrics. I could have maybe tried for that.
Yeah.
I have never heard of that artist. I couldn't have told you the title. This is one of those songs that I've just have heard, but don't really know, I suppose.
Yeah.
Okay, Canada.
Okay. Closer to home.
That was way louder than the other ones.
Oh, god dang! Is this Wait, they start the song off at the beginning of the song, right?
I believe so. Yes, I believe they always do.
Okay. All right, never mind. Then that's just through what I thought it was. God, it's gonna say. All right, let's go for a skip. Let's see what we got. No clue. No
Yeah,
clue.
me neither.
That just threw what I thought it was out the window.
This fast and traveled world, we sometimes lose our way.
We sometimes lose a friend or a mate.
I thought it said lose our way.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, I don't know if it's like that, but sometimes it gets a little muffled on my end when you play these.
Yeah. Also, this one is weird because I think they overlaid the voices with like just a slight desync.
Yeah.
So like there are two voices that are like off by like I don't know, like 0.2 seconds or something.
Yeah.
Which also makes it harder to understand. And also, yeah, Discord probably doesn't help.
Does add a good effect to the song though.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, acoustically it's nice and all, but if you're trying to understand what they're singing, yeah, I guess another skip.
Yeah.
In this fast and traveled world, we sometimes lose our way, but I'm never lost.
Again, the voice sounds familiar, man. I don't know.
Well, one more skip, and that's all we got.
In this fast and traveled world, we sometimes lose our way, but I'm never lost. I feel this way.
Dude, I've got no clue, man.
Yeah, I got nothing.
Good song though. Who is it?
The Happenings with I Got Rhythm.
Yeah, man.
Never heard of them.
Me neither. I mean, they may have been of our comments, but don't think I've heard of them before.
Well, let's go to somewhere closer to home for
Oh God, here we
you.
go.
United States.
Big booty holes, hump with it.
It's party time!
Oh my God, really?
Old.
Just type in "it's pony time"
I think it's a party time, but okay.
or "party time." Sorry, it's well, chop
Wait,
party then
pony
pony.
time. Chubby Checker. Okay, that actually does sound
Go.
correct.
Oh, that's actually it.
I'll be damned.
Yes, it is.
I mean, yeah, Chubby Checker is like a little before my time. I mean,
That's
Yeah,
before
obviously,
mine too, buddy.
like before the stuff I listen to, generally speaking. 70s, however, should be right in there. So let's see
Alright.
what the 70s number ones have to offer. I think these are UK and US number ones. I'm not entirely sure. Oh god, there's one of those with 2 second intervals. Let's see what that is all about. Also, 1.5 in this case.
Oh wow, this
Does sound
sounds
familiar.
Jesus Christ, nothing's coming to my mind at the moment.
The thing I will say is, if it hadn't said 70s, I would have thought it was newer.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
Oh my God. God, this sounds so familiar. Damn it, who is that? Let's go for a skip. Of course. Come on, give us another one. Of course.
Cold here in the city.
Huh.
Huh.
Anything coming to your mind at all?
No.
What are you going, cold here in the city?
No, I just said in the city. The only answer is Hot Child in the City by Nick Glider, which I'm gonna assume it isn't. I don't know. Also, Hot Child! Has language changed that much,
What?
or am I reading too much into this?
Golly! I don't know, dude. That's
Nicholas,
great.
my man, don't say things like that.
Oh man. Yeah, I don't know, bro.
Let's just skip.
It's cold here in the city. It always
God, dude, these
Yeah,
what
nothing.
the
Wait, it still says skip. I think it's over, but it still does technically say skip plus 1.5. I think that's just because of how they coded it, though. I think it is gonna still be over if I hit that skip button. I got nothing. You don't.
Me
you
neither. I got nothing.
John
Who is it?
Denver with "I'm
Oh,
Sorry."
I've heard of John Denver.
Of course,
that
you have heard
name
of John Denver.
Yes, I have heard of John Denver.
And now the 80s.
80s.
That should
Okay.
also be doable. 90s is a little bit harder, maybe. Depends.
Well, this is the year I was born. Come on, man. Come on. And these are #1 hits?
Yes.
I don't know.
I'm sure if we hit the question mark, it's going to tell us even more. No, it doesn't. It's just how to play. Wait, is it under info? Each hurdle 1980s #1 is taken from a list of both UK and US 1980s #1s. All the songs used in the game are copyrighted. Yeah, okay, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, it's US and UK #1s, like I said.
Okay. I got nothing.
It sounds like it would be from like a movie soundtrack.
Yes, it sounds like a score for a movie.
It sounds like something they would play where it like slowly builds towards being more and more dramatic.
Yes.
Like tense.
I've got nothing.
It feels like more of the same.
Yeah. JJ, can I be honest that we are absolutely sucking, dude?
Yes, we are.
Damn, that'd be a great sample, though. That'd be a great sample.
Sure, it doesn't really help with the question.
Yeah, the creator in me is coming out now.
Yeah,
Like,
no.
that'd be a great-
You're like, okay, I can't answer this question. You can't do anything else with this.
Yeah. Dude, you ain't lying. This definitely sounds like a movie. Like I feel like we're watching a real live version of Tom and Jerry, and Tom is chasing Jerry, trying to catch him, and this is happening. And it's the suspense is just building.
Yeah, it's either that or like a video game fight music, like back.
Like a
like
final
RPG.
boss fight. Yeah,
Maybe
yeah,
even like
yeah.
the final boss. Maybe it's almost not grandiose enough for that. But yeah.
No. Yeah.
And there became a pop song all of a sudden.
Ah, dang it. I don't know what song this is, but God, I F with this. I'm excited to see what song this is, because it'd be dope to sample this,
I
man.
think this might be one of those where we actually like, have to listen to it a little bit. Like normally I don't
Yeah.
like to listen to more than we need for the game because of like not provoking the copyright necessarily, but
Yeah.
I have no idea what the song sounds like still, so we probably should play this later.
Yeah. Not only that, but the surprise element's always a good thing. Who is it?
No, it's Papa Don't Preach by Madonna.
No! Oh my God, dude! I was just about to say it sounds like Madonna. Oh my God! Papa don't preach, I'm in trouble. Deep. Papa don't preach.
Yeah, right?
If
Like,
they,
obviously, very recognizable
Yes.
song, except I
Yes.
didn't know the intro.
exactly, if they could have took that intro out and just played with that beginning, got it immediately. Got it. Preach, I'm in
Yeah.
trouble. Deep.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a good song, too. It's just like, dude.
Hey, I love Madonna, dude. I love Madonna.
Yeah, she had a lot of good songs. over
Yes.
a longer period of time.
Yes.
And with very different styles, I think in part because of the time.
Yes.
Which
Dude,
is
one of my
always
favorite
impressive.
and she definitely touches on a lot of different genres, but one of my favorite songs of the past decade is Time Goes By Madonna. God, it's such a good song. I mean, she's got so many good songs.
Yeah,
Hell,
no,
we did a song where we sampled her we did a song called Frozen, and it's
Like
it's
the
that
Madonna
song
song?
huh?
Like the Madonna song? She also had a song called
Yeah,
Frozen, didn't she?
Yes, we sampled
Yeah.
that from Madonna. It was
Yeah.
can life be what you want it to be?
Yeah, I
You're
think that-
frozen.
That might be my favorite
Yeah.
Madonna song.
It's probably my second favorite. Time Goes By. Damn, that's a close. I don't know, but yeah, we actually sampled Madonna. That's how awesome Madonna is.
Well, I mean, in terms of decades, we only have the 90s left. If we... no, we don't. Well, thank you, SoundCloud, for blocking this in my region. Let's just do Hurdle 90s, I guess.
All right, let's do Hurdle 90s. It's dun 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 dun. Oh my god! Let's go for a
I
scoop.
believe, by the way, these are 90 songs randomly chosen from every expanding list. Okay, it doesn't even specify anymore. It used to say, I think, that they were mostly songs that charted in the US or UK, but I think they expanded the list beyond that. Yeah, I guess. Okay, that wasn't that much more.
Bro, it's do 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 do. Oh my god, I know this.
I might too.
Do do do. Do one more skip, and you're definitely gonna know it. As soon as it hits that high note, you're gonna know it. Oh, never mind. This is not what I thought.
I mean, it seems familiar, but it's definitely not one of the ones. I have like a playlist of like 1,000 songs or something, like literally like around about 1,000 songs, but like it's not one of those. And so the ones outside of that are usually harder because I can't just like immediately pull the title out of my ass.
Right. I've got nothing. It actually took away from what I thought it was.
I don't know. I don't think it was. I think it's similar to how it was before for me.
Yeah, I'm definitely. This sounds like every 80s, early 90s TV sitcom intro.
Oh yeah,
I have no idea.
You're right. Like Alf, for example. Yeah, no. That I can totally I can totally see that. Yeah.
Yeah, I got nothing though.
Yeah. I don't think we're gonna get this, but let's see.
For some reason, Midnight Riders is coming in my head. I don't know why. Oh shit!
I feel like we had like 2 changes in the song where they're like, oh, it's like a quiet like piano piece, and then it's like, actually it's like a bit of a and now it's a boy band song. It's like I don't know what's happening here.
Yeah, it's switched up on us.
Do you spell it a weird way? No, it doesn't help.
No, and it's not that. I just don't know why it popped in my head, but it did. I have no idea, bro. I can't even give you a guess. God, these are tough today. Who is it?
Take that, as I said, boy band. A Million Love Songs is the title.
Yeah, I wouldn't have gotten it.
Do you want to just like keep picking random categories until we get one, or do we just want to give up?
Yeah, let's pass till next time we come around.
Yeah, I think it's probably for the best, which brings us to the second topic. Bring out the cards.
Bring out the cards, and the cards are coming out.
Release the Kraken.
Release the Kraken. All right, let's go with. You want to go with this one, or you want to go with another one?
Let's just go with that one.
No, I don't like that one. You know what? How about I haven't even read them yet. What about
Jesus.
oh,
Yeah, sure.
that one? You want to go with this one?
Yeah.
Actually, no. Let's not let go of that one. Let's go with So you know what? Screw it. We will go with this one. Okay.
Reads the card like, no, we're not going to go with that one.
Okay. Can you recall an especially awkward moment? Or I'm sorry. Can you recall an especially awkward family moment? Oh my God, I can.
No.
Ooh.
Can't.
God, man. Just an awkward family moment.
I really can't. I mean, the question was, can you? And the answer is no. I mean,
Okay.
go ahead. What's your awkward family moment?
Oh my God, man. I won't mention names, but oh my God. Okay. My mom's sister. And so my mom's sister, she was married. They had to my uncle. They had 4 children. So my mom's sister ended up passing, but her husband stayed alive. And we all go to his house to hang out because he's still part of the family. He's still my uncle. He's still got my cousins. We get over there, and guess who he's dating? My mom's childhood best friend. Awkward. Who knew my mom's sister very well. Awkward.
I mean, it's one of those things that's just like awkward, but at the same time, like, there's nothing technically wrong with this.
Yeah, but dude, you had to be there.
Yeah, no,
you had to be
get
there.
it. It's one of those where like it's not. I can't technically find a reason why this is wrong, but it really feels weird.
Dude, I just remember us walking in the house and we're like, "Hey, what are you doing here?" And they're like, "Wait, are those your clothes or are those your shoes? Are you what?" Oh my God, that was an awkward moment, man. Awkward moment. All right, let's go with another one. All right, let's go with, you like this one?
Ooh, another green one.
No green? You want to pass on green?
Do the colors mean anything?
I don't know. You know what? Screw. Green's my favorite color. We'll go to a different one. How about this one? We'll go with that one? All right, let's see what we got. How do you feel about quitting? When have you quit or wanted to? So how do you feel about quitting? And when have you quit or wanted to?
I think we might have talked about this before. I don't know, but it's definitely an interesting question. I think it's a very abstract one. I think quitting is one of those things that people have maybe a bit too strong of a stance on, right? Because I feel like, yes, commitment is good and sticking with things is good, but I think sometimes you just have to know when something doesn't
You're
work
not
for you.
good at it.
And
yeah, I agree.
You just have to stop. Right? So I think quitting is actually can be good. I mean, it's a thing where, like, depending on who you're talking to, the answer is either like you should commit more or you should not stick with things like beyond the usefulness, right? It depends on who you're talking to. Some people commit too much, some people don't commit. I think there's sort of healthy balance in the middle.
Yeah.
When have I quit something?
When have you quit or wanted to quit?
I'm gonna be honest. I've thought about dropping out of college, but it's
really?
It's one of those things where, like, I'm far enough along to where it really doesn't seem to make sense, right? Because, like, I'm probably gonna be done this semester, so, like, I'm not.
Well, you're.
But like, I was.
You're so far in now. You might as well just ride it out.
Yeah,
you might as well just ride it out.
The thing for me was that when COVID happened,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, first of all, like, obviously, like, there was a lot of chaos in general, but then also I had to help take care of my grandma, and so I just straight up didn't go to college for, like, at that point, a couple of years, because, like, at first it was like, oh, it's just 1 or 2 years where, like, it was, like, really peak COVID, and it, like, made sense to stay home, and I also didn't want to do online classes, honestly.
It doesn't hit the same. Being on campus hits different.
But
I totally understand.
But then that kind of, like, really threw me off, where, like, I used to, like, have a good rhythm, right? Like, you would go to college, like, a couple times a week. You would, like, do homework where necessary, and then you would eventually write your exams. And, like, I was just, like, completely out of the rhythm. It was really weird to, like, get back and, like, restart it. And, like, I didn't have, like, the, like, internal schedule anymore, like, mentally, where it's like, oh, yeah, this is when you have to register for courses. This is, like, exam season, like, that whole thing. Like, I had to, like, reestablish all of that. And, you know, that was a moment where I was, like, for a bit I was thinking, like, do I really, like, like I'm not even sure if I want to do anything with the degree, right? So it's like I might as well just not. But then I was like, you know what? It's better to have it and not use it than to be in a situation where you apply to a job where it would be useful and be like, well, I have some college experience in the field.
Yeah.
No degree though. It's like that doesn't look good. So
You're so far in, bro. Just keep going. Just keep going.
Again,
Ride it out.
This is not something that I'm currently thinking about. It's something that I had
thought
like
about.
1 or 2 semesters ago thought about. Whereas like I was still like more than halfway done at that point. So like it would have still been not the greatest decision, but at that point it might have still made sense. At this point, it's too late. I'm literally writing my thesis right now. So like.
Exactly. I was going to bring that up, but I didn't know if you wanted to put that on camera. I was going to bring that up. But yeah, man, salute to you on that. And so, yeah, you definitely answered the question or wanted to. So that was the time you wanted to. You actually were genuinely thinking about dropping out of college. So with me, how do I feel about quitting? When have I quit or wanted to? I 100% agree with you. There are some things that I do believe, yes, you should put your all into. You should try to give it 100% commitment, be your best at it. But there are some things that you're just not good at. You know, there are just some things you're just not good at. And it's like, you don't want to waste the time. You don't want to waste the money. You don't want to waste the effort if you know, listen, I am not good at this. However, in the same breath, you know, if it's something that you do think you have potential in, or you think, hey, I absolutely suck at it, but I love it, you know, and you think you may be terrible at it, but you love doing it, don't quit, continue moving on. So it's a yin and yang thing. And then not only that, but also what are we talking about quitting? Because I used to know this guy that was addicted to drugs, and he would hang around other people who were addicted to drugs. And then the people that got off of drugs, but he was still doing drugs, he wouldn't want to hang around them. He'd be like, oh, I don't want to hang around them because they're quitters. I'm not a quitter. Like, I'm going to keep doing, like, dude, they're, you know what I mean? It depends on the situation.
To be fair, my understanding is that if you are, like a recovering addict, you probably shouldn't be hanging around with, like, active users anyways, because that is, like, a very easy way to get back into it.
100%.
But yeah, I mean, obviously, like, a drug habit is a good thing to quit.
Yeah.
But
it's just weird.
It's different severities, right? Like dropping out of college is, like, a very serious thing. I mean, quitting drugs is as well, but in the very opposite way, where like this is very much recommended. And then there's things in the middle where it's like, oh yeah, quitting a hobby. It's like, well, it's one thing if you're like starting a new hobby every week, you buy like thousands of dollars of equipment, and then you stop. Yeah. And it's a different thing if you like do a hobby that has like no investment, or you've done it for a while and you just aren't feeling it, and you just stop. And that's fine.
Well, that's why I said, you know, when you, not only are you wasting time, but in some instances you could also be wasting money as well, like you had said with the equipment.
But again, inversely, like I think some of the people that don't have that commitment also waste money sometimes, where like they will literally like start like 10 new hobbies in a year and probably drop all of them in that same time frame. And it's like, that is something, you can try out different hobbies. That is inherently fine. I'm just saying, like, especially those that have like a lot of upfront investment, it's not very fiscally responsible sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, and to the second part of the question is, when have you quit or wanted to? I mean, you know, I'm very open about my past, you know, and I was a drug addict and I quit doing drugs, so that's a good thing. But something that I quit that doesn't quit, something that I quit. I'll tell you what. I'm not gonna say that.
Yeah,
what are you laughing?
It's not an easy question. No, I was just like, normally it's me where I'm like, trying to think, is there anything in my life that could apply to this question? I really can't think of anything. And you're like, oh God, you can never come up with an answer to these questions.
I know I have many things that I could tell you. It's just I don't want to put them out in the universe for the public to see. But I guess, and I was going to say like a job that I quit, but I don't think I've ever quitted. I guess I have quit because I've never been fired ever. I've never been fired in my entire life. So I guess, I'll say a job. There's been jobs where I've wanted to quit, and then it got to the point where it's just like, look, I can't do this anymore. Yeah. You know, it's just not going to work.
I mean, quitting jobs is one of those things where like, it's not inherently unreasonable. It's just, if you either have another job lined up, or you're working in an industry where it's easy to get jobs sometimes, like, then sure, right? Like, you can quit your job if like the working conditions are bad, or you just don't like it there, whatever. Like, you can quit and get it. Sometimes it's actually recommended, especially early on in your career, that like you just switch jobs every 2 years, like the same types of positions but different companies, because oftentimes hiring budgets are higher, are bigger than like the budgets for like giving people raises. So it's actually easier to get a raise by just switching companies, which is stupid.
Yeah.
But apparently that's just how things work these days.
Yeah, and not only that, but in my case as well, even though I have quit jobs before, I've never quit a job without another job, without having another job lined up. And I also believe it's 100. The professional thing to do as a man is to give the previous job, even though you're going to quit, give them a 2 weeks notice. Give them time to replace you. I think that's the right.
Yeah, I don't even know. Like, I think this is one of those things that in some places is actually required. It also probably depends a little bit on your employment contract. I mean, just like whether you were legally required. I mean, obviously.
No, that's not required. You could walk out the front door. It's just a professional thing to do.
Yeah, I'm saying I think in some jurisdictions it might be required.
No, I don't think so. Not in America. In Sweden, I know it happened. He would be my stepbrother at the time, but my stepbrother Peter, he quit, but I think it was required. Like he had to give them a 2 weeks notice, and he had to have another job lined up. I don't know if that I was so young, but I think they remember them telling me something like that.
I think there might also be like employment contracts that have like certain requirements. But yeah, no, that's not really the point. Yeah, the point was that quitting not always good, but sometimes good. Next question.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, next question. All right, you want to go?
Probably last question. Sure.
Yeah, this will be our last one. All right, let's go with green. Always finish with green. Great one. Ooh.
Not so great after all.
Okay. No, it's just it's being the last one. It's like, okay, don't want to ask you this one. All right, I'll ask you this one. In what ways are you similar to your parents, and how are you different?
Oh gosh.
So how are you similar to your parents, and how are you different than your parents?
I think I got a lot from my parents, more so in like in education. I want to say like in a like how I was raised sense. I think I learned a lot from them about like fiscal responsibility and that sort of thing. Although sometimes I feel like they aren't listening to that as much as they were preaching it. I'm not like super irresponsible. But yeah, no, there's a lot of those sort of things. The way in which I think I'm very much different, I think, is so the people skills. My mother in particular is very much like a people person. I'm not even sure if she's like that extroverted, but like she like very easily like makes friends and good acquaintances with people where I'm like, huh? Like why are you friends with the shopkeeper all of a sudden, right? Like that sort of thing where like she'll just like befriend like random people that and,
your mom sounds a lot like my mom and like me.
Yeah,
your mom sounds a lot like me.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. It's just like I don't think it would ever happen to me. It's just like I'm not that kind of a person. I'm not that extrovert. I think that's sort of the big way in which I'm different. I think my dad might be a little bit, like at least by nature, a little bit more like me in that regard. But I think he also, because of his job, ends up working, has a lot of contact with people. So I think he is still very good at like interacting with people if he has to. I don't think he is like naturally as inclined to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I've learned a lot, like skills, right? Like again, with as a budgeting, I think I'm not as handy as my parents, but I think I've picked up a lot of like small things. Like the handy not handy thing is always tricky to establish because for some people when they say you're handy, they mean you can like build an entire house by yourself. And for some people when they say they're not handy, they mean they don't know what a hammer looks like. So there's like,
oh wow,
that was obviously an exaggeration, but like there are literally people where like if you have to like just screw something together or something, they're like, I'm not very handy. It's like, what do you mean? This is not hard.
Right.
So I think I'm somewhere in the middle there. Again, my parents are more so, but I think I've picked up a couple things there as well. So yeah, I think it's a lot of that where I'm like, I think I'm still fundamentally like from the same background essentially, right? Like sort of the middle class, working class, like the sort of the physical labor, that background. Even if I myself am not in that profession, I think I've inherited some of that spirit sort of. But I'm not a people person. That's the big difference, I think.
Meanwhile, you do a podcast weekly with people. Just to throw that out there.
Most YouTubers are introverted. Okay, maybe not most, but like there's so many YouTubers that you hear that have like very like exuberant personalities on camera, and then they're like, well, a lot of people wouldn't think this, but I'm actually an introvert. And like I've heard that like so many different times from different YouTubers, and they're like, no, you're right. At this point, I almost expect you to, because you're sitting in a room all day talking to a camera, right? Like, of course you're introverted.
I keep forgetting the name. What is? Do you know? Apparently, I'm a person who's an extrovert and an introvert. There's a
I
name
believe
for
it's
that.
ambivert or something like that.
Okay, so apparently this is what I and my mom is. So we are, yes, ambiverts. So we're ambiverts. But so the ways that I am similar to my parents is both of my parents are extremely hard workers. And I am an extremely hard worker. Literally, my last name means hard worker. So we have I've never not had a job. I've always found a way to make money. I've always found a way to, bring success to myself, or I'm just a hard worker. And no matter what I do, I'm going to try to do my best at it. So I get that from my parents. At the same time, just like you were mentioning with your mother, my mom, she throws parties every other month. She doesn't know what a stranger is. She'll give you the shirt off of your back if you need, off of her back if you needed it. And I'm the same way. Like I can meet. I'll talk to anybody. There's no such thing as a stranger to me. Everyone has a story to tell, and I'm always there to listen, and I'm always there to soak up information from as many people as I possibly can. And I get that from my mom as well. But not only that, but they also love to travel. I love to travel. And I think it's because from a young age, going to London and Sweden and Finland and Holland and Denmark, and then now in Mexico, going all these places, I love to travel. I get that from my parents. But as far as the difficult side, or different, I'm sorry, what makes me different from my parents is different. That's an interesting one. Oh, okay. Well, I'll give you one. My parents, obviously, I will go on record and I'll say this, dude. My mother and my father right now, not my biological father, my stepdad, but I call him my father because he raised me as a man. They have the ideal marriage. I'm talking about the ideal, picture the best marriage you could possibly think of. They have it. And I am not a person that is looking to settle down, just, hey, I gotta be with this person for the rest of my life. One person. I'm not that. So that's where I'm different. I can F with you, but I can't just be 100% yours. So that's our similarities, and that's my difference with my parents.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think this is a very interesting question, and it's one of those. I've always thought that like similarities is the harder question, right? Because it almost feels like your whole calibration of like what like people are like is like at least in the beginning starts from like, oh yeah, my parents are like this, I'm like this, so that must just be how people are, right? I mean, obviously, when you notice that other people are not like that, but it's almost sometimes when especially when it's like a 50-50 thing, right? Like, half people are like this, half people are not like this. Then you're like, okay, me and my parents are like this, so that's like the normal thing, and some weird people are different, right? And so it's almost like subconsciously, like the similarities are like not worth pointing out sometimes. It felt like to me, whereas the differences stand out.
So with me, it's actually the opposite. I'm so similar to my mom. I mean, hell, dude, if you saw my mom, we look alike. Like, we have the same jaw, we have the same face, the same smile, the same charisma, the same enthusiasm, the same mannerisms. We're just like the same person. I just happen to be the male version of it. So with me, there's so many similarities, but there's not really many differences. So
yeah, I think
that was a good one there.
I think for me, it's also, I mean, obviously it's as parents, right? So I think my parents also like different from each other, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think
opposites attract.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say they're like polar opposites, but there are definitely notable differences, and I think that also like makes it harder to generalize, right? So it's interesting when my dad like tells stories from school, for example, and I'm like, that just sounds like when I was at school. When he's like, oh yeah, like I was doing like okay, right? I was doing great, and suddenly I had a new teacher and I had A's, and I was like, oh yeah, I've been in that situation before, right? And like I mean, obviously details, right? Like the way he talks about it and stuff, and I'm like, that all sounds very familiar. Apparently, he once had for vocational training for the schooling there, he had to apparently once write like an essay on what it means to be a boss, I think, and he wrote thinking and leading. Now, it's funny in German because it rhymes, and that was his answer. Like, what does it mean to be a boss? Thinking and leading. And apparently he got full points for that. Like write essay,
he's
3 words,
wrong.
got it. And
he's not wrong.
I've literally done the same thing for like a college homework thing, probably less important than his exam, but where they had a question like, I don't know, like what a header felt for, I think it was. I don't know, like I wrote like literally like a one word answer, like a full points. Right? So it's like a lot of that, like some of that feels very familiar sometimes. But at the same time, you know, like put that in words. Like how are we similar because of that? Like I don't know.
I just thought of another difference, you know, with my mom. You know, my mom was, I don't know if I've ever told you this, but my mom was actually my 6th and 7th grade teacher. I don't know if I ever told you that.
No, I don't.
Yeah,
think
she was my 6th grade math teacher. She was my 7th grade English teacher, and then she became when I got to the 8th grade, she was the vice principal. Yeah, vice principal, and then she became the principal right as I was graduating 8th grade. But so yeah, imagine having your mom as your and oh my god, dude, it sucked because it's so hard to just want to raise your hand like mama, and you could not call her mom. It had to be her last name.
Yeah.
But and then teachers look at you like, I'll tell your mom she's the principal. And but I was going with the differences. My mom, you know, being in school, you know, she's got, I think, 3 PhDs and like 2 doctorates, and she's still in school to this day. She's all about learning, and she's on the board of education in Georgia. So she's always teaching, always learning, always, you know, doing something, you know, educational wise. My dad, you know, again, you know, college graduate, went to the Navy, you know, did 4 years in the Navy, served for his country. With me, you know, I graduated high school. I went to Mercer Mercer's it's like a university here, but I went there for a semester, but I did nothing but party. My mom took me out of there and then put me in a technical school, which I was just like, this is just not me. So I guess the education thing, they're so about education. With me, it was like, I got a high school education. You know, I did a little bit of college. Let me go make money. Just put me on the where I want money. That's another difference.
I think for me it's basically the inverse. Where, as I said, right, very working class background. So my parents, none of them went to college. They went to the lowest form of secondary school that we have here. It's a tier system. Technically not worse, but everyone says they're worse. But that is not because they're stupid, right? Actually, I think both of my parents are fairly intelligent people, but just circumstantially, they ended up in the sort of the more vocational path because of their circumstances. And I am sort of the first in that line, I think, like, to go to university, like the direct line, because because my dad has a company, and it's not like big or anything, but he makes enough money that like
to support his family.
I mean, granted, university in Germany is also not expensive, but yeah.
Oh, sheesh. And that's another thing why my mom, and I did say I went to Mercer. My mom went to Mercer. I actually went to Clayton State, and that's part of the reason she took me out. Not only because I was partying all the time, but it was so expensive. You know, I didn't have a scholarship. She's paying for tuition. So, yeah. Anyway, let's move on.
I think in my first semester, I had to pay 250 euros.
Jesus, that's nothing. Dude, over here, people have student loans that are $250,000.
Yeah, I think
that's on the low side.
I think the most recent semester was more like $350 because the prices have been going up by like $5 to $10 every year, every semester.
That is crazy.
But yeah, no, I mean, that's what I'm saying, right? Like, and here's the thing, right? You can. I didn't because I didn't want to do the paperwork. You can apply for student loans, and so the federal student loan program is actually really good because you only have to pay back half of it, essentially. Wow. And if you have good grades, and if you pay back in bulk, you can actually get more reduction. And I think, like, in the very best case scenario, I think you only have to pay back like a quarter of it. The problem is, it's limited based on on certain things like your parents' income. And since my dad is self-employed, I was like,
right.
This is not gonna work out, right? Like, dude, even if his actual income is probably not that high, they're gonna do some fucked up shit because the German bureaucracy is like weird like that. And so I was like, you know what? I don't even want to know what those forms look like in this scenario because like getting like $500 a month or whatever, whatever they give, because they don't just pay for your college. You can actually, like, depending on how much, you can also get some extra money, like in case for like an apartment or something for like renting. So I don't know how much you could get back there, but I was like, I'm probably not gonna get it because they're probably gonna say like, oh, your dad's company makes X amount of money, and that's basically all income, which it isn't. But they're probably gonna say that, and then it's whatever. And so I didn't even try.
That's so crazy you say that because my mom used to tell me, she was like, that's why a lot of American students, if their family can afford it, will send their children to, study abroad. because of that. It's like you're not only are you going to get a better education, not only are you going to get a cultural influence of a whole different people, but it's also a lot cheaper.
I mean, you're obviously not gonna get student loans here, but as a foreigner, but yeah, I mean, the university I don't think is more expensive for you. Although in some European countries it is more expensive as a foreign student. So, for example, in the UK, there is a cap on how much universities are allowed to charge students, but that only applies to UK students. So as a foreign student, they can charge you as much as they want to. I think it might still be cheaper than the US, but it's a lot.
Yes, I do believe it is.
A United Kingdomian. I don't want to say. I don't want to say English because
yeah, I mean that's a broad thing, but we could talk about that. I mean, when it comes to the educational system, just being around my mom, dude, I could talk about this all day, man.
Yeah, we probably shouldn't though, because this episode of the podcast is starting to draw to a close, which brings us to the best segment. No, that's not necessarily true, but we're leaving on a high note.
Yes.
With our songs of the week. What is your song of the week?
My song of the week is by one of my favorite artists. He's an indie folk. He does it all. He's a one-man band. Rest in peace to his soul. His name's Elliott Smith, and the name of this song is Because, and after you play it, I will explain a little more.
Love is old, love is new. Love is old, love is new. Because the sky is blue.
I hope that did actually play in the video because...
I'm sorry. Okay, hold on. First of all, this is a Beatles cover.
Exactly.
You know that, right? All right. Now, to the trash talkers who are still here watching this, we were off camera, and JJ, you had said something, and I said, let's hold it till we get on camera. Something about this song. What is it you were going to say?
Yeah, I might have to clip it out, because Beatles songs always get your video blocked, worldwide. Now, I'm not sure if that also applies to covers, because technically, this isn't a song played by the Beatles, right? So they should be able to claim it, or whoever is the rights holder for their music. So it hopefully is fine. But that's also part of the reason why I haven't had Beatles songs in forever as Song of the Week, because I can't play them.
If I'm not mistaken, I do believe we have done a song that was covered by the Beatles on our channel. Well, hell, actually, we've done a lot of Beatles songs. Hey, this is a gamble on your side, brother. You just have to roll the dice and see.
So far, every single time... I mean, I'll upload it, and if it gets flagged, I'll just do the automatically trim it out thing, and then... It's fine. That works because we're not really talking over it, so it's fine for the video. I'm just saying I prefer when it plays. It is fair use, and I should legally be able to be able to do this. But it's not like I'm gonna fight every single time the video gets played for a 10-second clip. So yeah, Beatles songs. I don't think I've ever managed to have a Beatles song as a song of the week and then have it in the final video.
You keep saying a Beatles song, but this is Elliott Smith. I know it's a cover, but this is Elliott Smith.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if this has the same problem or not, because it is Elliott Smith and not John Lennon and Paul McCartney, who wrote this song.
What's your song of the week?
I thought you wanted to say something about the song, besides just that you like it.
Oh, sorry. I love them. I love them.
Okay. My song of the week is 1973 by James Blunt.
I would call you up every Saturday night.
Oh.
Here we go again.
Yeah. Oh.
And though time goes by, I will always be in a club with you in 1973.
Oh, I F with that, dude. That's funky. That's got some soul into it.
Oh yeah, by the way,
heck yeah.
I completely forgot to say, I also like your song of the week.
Oh, well, yeah, thank you. You like my song, I like your song, dude. Yeah, and James Blunt, he's got some good songs. I've never heard 1973, but man, this was funky, dude. I like it.
Yeah,
heck yeah.
Obviously, You're Beautiful is I think his most famous song, I would think.
You're beautiful. I think so.
But I felt this one, I think it's one I might actually like more, and it definitely fit better for this week's song of the week, somehow.
Yeah, I like that, dude. That's awesome, man. Again, we finished it out with 2 songs of the week. I gave you my song. You seem to enjoy it. You gave me your song, and I seem to enjoy it as well.
Yeah, I mean, your song was one of those. I think that um, it depends on my mood if I like music like that.
Yeah,
Or like,
yeah,
and this is one of those you have to be in the mood for. But then it's really
yeah,
good. But
yeah.
most music that I listen to, I just always like. But it did some of the songs do exist.
Yeah, man. Elliot's amazing, dude. I know I've said it before. I know I've used him as song of the weeks many of times we've done here, but he's an artist that you should definitely check out some. And the guy's he was amazing, man. Rest in
Yeah,
peace.
I guess I have to because I was gonna say I now know that he makes good music, but it's really hard to judge a singer by their covers.
Yeah.
Because sorry, um, because obviously it's different writing a song for yourself or having a song written specifically for you versus playing someone else's song, even if obviously like you put your own work into the cover as well.
Mm-hmm. I agree, 100%, dude. I agree, man. This was a fun one, dude. This was awesome, man.
Yes, and don't forget to check out the Trash Talkers. Links in the description below, also on the end card. And if you want to see more just like this, subscribe to this channel. Link, well, you know how to do that. If you have something to say, leave a comment. And if you enjoyed the video, give it a like. That's certainly the order to say these things. Hollywood.
That's it.
That's it.